We are live in 1 second. I'll give you the chance just to introduce yourself for the couple of seconds. Then you will be people start joining. Then we will carry on.
Okay,
On that part.
sounds good.
Okay, now let me give like a couple of seconds to people join. Fantastic. Now they start seeing the. Okay. Okay, so they will join with the time, no worry. Thank you so much, Mr. Rupert, for your time and effort and being with us in our conference. It's our pleasure to have you with us. And we are interested to hear more about the new generation, I mentioned it, of cybersecurity training, maybe, or the new way of the cybersecurity training for that. Please be my guest and go ahead in your presentation. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Rami, for the introduction. Welcome, everybody. I am really pleased and delighted and honoured that you can spend your time with me for the next 20 minutes or so. Thank you very much indeed. My name is Rupert Collier. I'm the sales director here at Rangeforce for EMEA and for APAC, and it's my responsibility to take our future, or the future of cybersecurity training into the region. So, just to give you a brief introduction of Rangeforce and who we are, we have a really effective and very unique cybersecurity training solution for cybersecurity professionals. This is very much designed for the technical people within your organization. So those individuals who have a direct responsibility towards cybersecurity from a technical perspective. We do have some security awareness training in the platform as well, but primarily the focus is very much around the technical individuals. So we were founded in 2015 in Tallinn, Estonia, and our founders were involved in the NATO cyber range, which was positioned very strategically in Tallinn, in Estonia. They suffered in 2007 a very well documented nation-state attack. And for that reason, the NATO cyber range was positioned in Tallinn. And our founders were involved in the creation of this cyber range. It's now called the CCDCOE. And so we have a lot of heritage, we have a lot of pedigree in this space, and we really understand the requirements of technical training. We have a very unique combination of a skills platform and a cyber range. So we call these battle skills and battle fortress. And the idea is to use the two in combination to effectively prepare and ready your cybersecurity defense team for cyber breach scenarios, for cyber data breach scenarios. We're backed by several well-known organizations. Energy Impact Partners, Paladin Capital and Cisco have already invested in the company, and we have already brought on several very well-known customers from around the world. We have around about 100 people globally at the moment, but growing very, very fast. Around about 50 of those are in Tallinn, in Estonia still, and that's the majority are kind of focused around the development and the content, and we have around about 40 people in the US and 10 others in the UK and elsewhere. We set up Rangeforce really to address three kind of main issues that we see in the industry. The first issue is we have a lot of cybersecurity tools and applications and products. A lot of money is spent every year. One report stating 124 billion spent every year on cybersecurity tools, growing obviously year by year. but we still, despite the huge proliferation of technologies to prevent it, we still have a lot of data breaches. We still have a lot of very expensive data breaches. And the second issue is really connected to that. We don't have enough people in the industry to kind of prepare organizations for that sort of scenario. So the shortage of talent is contributing to the issue. We also have, of course, the concept of the GDPR regulations, for example, in Europe, increasing regulation around this topic, and we also have the context of COVID to think about as well. You know, the COVID virus has changed a lot of things around the world, but one of the main things has been, you know, person-to-person contact. Classroom-based exercises and training are therefore very, very difficult to conduct at this moment in time. And so we need to think outside of the box and come up with other solutions. And we believe that Rangeforce is ideally positioned and suited to fill a gap here. Cyber range, just to explain very briefly what a cyber range is, we're talking about a sandboxed network, a sandboxed environment, replicating a corporate IT environment where you can run simulations and group exercises to train people and build up muscle memory in advance of the real thing happening. So obviously a cyber range, generally speaking, is the best way to train technical people. Technical people need to be physical, hands-on, interactive. They need to get into the solutions and fix things and break things. So the concept of a cyber range is perfect for training technical people. They have this natural curiosity, which is difficult to replicate in a traditional e-learning platform. But cyber ranges are not scalable. They tend to be buildings or at least rooms within buildings. They're expensive. You need a lot of infrastructure, and they're very difficult to maintain. So the move to e-learning platforms is understandable. But e-learning platforms don't tend to be very effective because they're not hands-on. Normally, you kind of have to watch videos or read a variety of different slides and then maybe answer some multiple choice questions. The concept of receiving hands-on training within an e-learning platform is difficult to replicate. But Rangeforce have done exactly that. We combine the benefits of a cyber range with the ease of access of an e-learning platform. And we start with an assessment. We have a very simple mantra: assess, learn, and transform. So we start with an assessment to make sure that we understand the current skill sets of the users, so that we understand their exposure to cybersecurity, where they are in their educational track. And then once we understand that information, we can then prescribe a learning path that is first very relevant to their job role, and then second, also commensurate with their current skill set level. So making sure the training is really focused around what they need to do in the real world, but also making sure it's not too easy and not too difficult. The user then has access to hundreds of hours of content that they can learn from. We reflect the latest environments, the latest security tools. It's accessible through a browser with zero latency. There's no requirement for any on-site infrastructure. And these exercises are designed to be as interactive as possible. So the user physically has to complete the task themselves. And that really creates the muscle memory that I mentioned a second ago, prescribing activities that are realistic and prepare the user for genuine real-world situations. And then when you have that kind of concept of interactivity, you have a really interactive workforce who are you're building up a culture of learning, a culture of education. Users are logging in regularly and taking modules and furthering their skill sets. You have a very easy then way to measure those people. It's based on evidence-based performance, and you can build up a very effective skills matrix across the organization that reflects the real team strengths and weaknesses. So by proving that the user has completed, for example, a reverse engineering course, you're then in a much more powerful position as management to deliver on governance, to deliver on any kind of auditing or perhaps ISO 27001 requirements that reflect, for example, the individual achievements of the users within the teams. And that's not always difficult, not always easy to do. It's actually quite difficult. People normally rely on certifications and accreditations and that kind of thing. But with Rangeforce and this type of training, you're really in a very strong position to prove that the team has completed the various exercises because they have achieved it with their own hands. We have two kind of main areas to the business, like I mentioned. The first is the battle skills platform, and this really is designed to be 100% self-paced. Users can log in any time of day or night. We have 24/7 data centers around the world where users can log in and take modules. The main focus areas for this are security operations, incident response, CERT, that kind of area, but also web application security and DevOps and DevSecOps, giving development teams, internal development teams, the required exposure to cybersecurity that they wouldn't normally get. Cybersecurity is not always a big focus area for them, so it gives them an area where they can access without any kind of worry of breaking anything, and just learn new concepts. Everything is gamified. We have instant feedback through our virtual teaching assistant. We have leaderboards, we have badges and certifications, etc. And then the cyber range, the Battle Fortress cyber range, is an opportunity to put users into a much more pressurized situation. The Battle Skills platform is completely at your own leisure and in your own time. The Battle Fortress are designed, the cyber range activities are designed to be on a specific day at a specific time, at which point you will go into the cyber range, you will join a team, and you will then be prepared to defend against live simulation attack scenarios. And you can see some of the options we have at the bottom there: compromised credentials, lateral movement, maybe a spear phishing attack or a DDoS attack or something along those lines. And you have to then respond to the simulation activities in real time. And you do this either individually or as a team, but to make it as realistic and as lifelike as possible, we actually incorporate the technology that you use in the real world. So if you're using if you're using Splunk, for example, as your SIEM device, and you're using Fortinet firewalls, and maybe Sysmon as your Microsoft Sysmon as your EDR, we can incorporate all of your technology stack into this environment so that the users are firstly training in the role that they are being asked to fulfill in the real world, but also using the technology that they use in the real world. So it's very realistic, it's very genuine and authentic, and it's a very fun day for the users to be involved in. And the combination of those two training types, the self-paced training, preparing users for a group exercise, for a cyber range simulation, cyber warfare activity, is a really effective way to learn. We can prepare people with a prescriptive learning path that gets everybody up to the right standard. And then during the cyber range activity, we will monitor the activities of the users and identify any skills gaps that may appear. And then we can send them back at the end of the day with a follow-on training path to address those skills gaps. So this is very real world, very realistic, and very relevant to the jobs that they have to fulfill. It's also very blue team focused. We want to make sure, of course, that users understand the concepts that hackers use, but it's a very different skill set to be able to defend against those hacking techniques. So the idea is that we train users to perform blue team activities, defensive activities, and make sure that we're preparing them to protect your organization in a real world data breach scenario. So the main areas of focus then for this training are SOC and incident response, and everything in this section is benchmarked against two of the main kind of frameworks, the cybersecurity frameworks that a lot of organizations use. MITRE ATT&CK and NIST-NICE, and everything is benchmarked against those. All of the content is tagged against those two frameworks, and it just gives you a really good orientation towards your defense strategy. We use the latest vulnerabilities, the latest attack methodologies, the latest CVEs, real malware, but everything is, of course, in a simulated environment, so users don't have to worry about breaking anything. It also gives users on the red team side an opportunity to use tools and applications that they may not be able to use normally in a live network. So it's a really good way to get exposure to those kind of things as well. And as you can see, the prescriptive learning path that I mentioned earlier, in this case, our SOC 1, SOC Analyst Level 1, that is SOC Analyst Level 2, Microsoft and Threat Hunter. We also have a web application security track that is benchmarked against the OWASP top 10, the most prevalent web vulnerabilities and flaws, and also CloudSec and DevSecOps. Here, this is benchmarked primarily against NIST CFS, and the prescriptive learning paths would be container security, so covering Docker and Kubernetes, Linux fundamentals, and Microsoft as well. We work with several third-party vendors as well, so we incorporate some introductory training to the likes of Splunk, for example, and Recorded Future, which is a threat intelligence platform. Cisco, obviously, because they're an investor, are included in this as well. VMware Carbon Black is a very well-known EDR solution. Fortinet, of course, I mentioned earlier. Cortex by Palo Alto is another SOAR. IBM QRadar is very well-known, SIEM, and Docker and Kubernetes as well. And then on the open source side, again, lots of tools in here that teach the basics of the fundamental kind of areas of cybersecurity they cover. So Yara is used quite widely for proactive threat hunting, for example, matching patterns. Wireshark, of course, for network evaluations and PCAP analysis, packet capture analysis. Suricata is an open source intrusion detection and intrusion prevention system. So just really teaching in combination with the third-party applications, third-party vendors, the real fundamental basics of cybersecurity. All of these techniques are absolutely critical to any kind of cybersecurity shop within your company, and of course the third-party applications really go to making it as realistic as possible. So we want to make your workforce mission ready, and the idea is that we work them through a variety of different tracks, a variety of different prescriptive learning paths that take them through, in the case of Security Analyst Level 1, from being a relative beginner status all the way up to the Security Analyst Level 1 status. And we've tracked these against the job requirements and the job stipulations that are listed out in the NIST framework, and everything is kept as realistic as possible. So we work through in a logical step-by-step fashion, incorporating training and then challenges and then team exercises to really create a mission-ready workforce that is prepared for as many eventualities, cybersecurity-focused eventualities as possible. And each of these learning paths has a workforce-ready certification at the end. This is an example of the Security Analyst Level 1 path. Starting, as I said before, at fairly beginner status, so starting with the functions of a security operations center, teaching the basics around event logs, and then working the user through things like Splunk, VirusTotal, a couple of well-known SOC technologies, and then going back to the more fundamental basics like email header analysis or PCAP forensics. And you can see it works through works the user through a variety of different topics, which are focused around becoming a security analyst level 1, responding to incidents in real time, and interspersed with the educational modules are some evaluational modules that you can see in red there. So the first is a challenge around email. Second one is a challenge around threat intelligence, and the SOC 1 capstone certification test at the end gives you the certification there that you can see. Just on the topic of certifications, Rangeforce is a CREST certified training provider, and we're also working with ANSI in the United States, the American National Standards Institute, and we have three main kind of levels, if you like, of certification. We have workforce ready certifications that focus around the prescriptive learning paths that I showed you. We then have one level down from that, which is the various areas of the content. For example, if you've completed the Yara set of modules, you can apply for the Yara certification badge. And then below that, we have more kind of fun, interactive badges around, pioneers, helping us to complete beta-ready training and that sort of thing. So, but the main certifications are for the prescriptive learning paths that I showed you a second ago. Everything is held by Credly as well, so it's held and monitored by a very well-known certification management company, and requalification will be required every couple of years. And of course, you can use the Rangeforce platform for other certifications as well. If you're CISP accredited or CISM, or if you're a certified ethical hacker, for example, you can use these the Rangeforce training as continuous professional education credits for those certifications as well. Just to give you a little snapshot of some of the content that is included in the various categories, from the SOC side, of course, the tools that I mentioned, but also some basic fundamental skill sets like regular expressions and botnet takedown and that kind of thing. The ways is the second most populated category, with lots of OWASP related content, like, for example, injections, cross-site scripting. And then, as you can see on the DevOps side, we have a lot of coverage for Docker and Kubernetes as well, and some really good basic stuff around Linux and management of the Linux operating system. There's a Microsoft track with about 25 modules as well within the DevOps side, and the security basics for kind of beginners or non-technical people as well. We have around about 350 modules in total, and we release around 5 modules every week, new modules every week, and we work very closely with our customers to align the content to their requirements as well. So if there's something that you don't see in our portal at the moment, we can work with you to produce content around that to help you out. From the reporting side, we also have a very granular, detailed reporting. We run company internal leaderboards, for example, and of course we have an admin function to the platform as well, where you can manage your own users, manage your teams, set up teams and sub teams. For example, you can set up your own training plans and assign those out to users, and manage your license as well. We also have the capability to provide you with executive reports, and these are done manually at the moment. They will be automated in the future, but these are really to give you just a very simple, short 2-page document that documents all of the main sort of usage statistics of your organization. You can submit this to your CEO or to your board members, and it just gives them a very simple overview of the return on the investment that they made within the context of Rangeforce, but also the progress that is being made by your users, so they can see with their own eyes the return that they're getting for the investment, both in terms of kind of corporate level or company level effectiveness against security attacks, but also from an individual level, making sure that their users are increasing their skill sets and furthering their career. So just to finish off then, a couple of ideas or a couple of use cases for Rangeforce. Obviously, building a cyber training program is the most obvious of these. You can visualize your team strengths very, very well. You can set and report against training goals. And of course, the main and the most important reason for buying Rangeforce is to make sure that you're resilient against cyber attacks as an organization and also as an individual, but primarily as an organization. From a web development perspective, DevOps and development teams don't always think about cybersecurity. So Rangeforce is very good at integrating security hygiene into their coding world, making sure that they're avoiding coding errors and building that kind of concept of a security culture across IT and DevOps, and bringing everything together in one location. And then finally, from the operative side, really creating cyber experts across the organization. Cybersecurity has to be a holistic type exercise. It's not designed for just 2 or 3 people to look after exclusively. This involves the entire organization. So Rangeforce can be rolled out to non-technical users as well. We do have some cybersecurity awareness modules within the platform that teach the basics around cybersecurity. We have some beginner level stuff for semi-technical users, and we have some much more advanced stuff for very advanced or senior people within the cybersecurity teams. So there's something for everybody within this platform, and the idea is really to create cybersecurity as a culture across the entire organization. You can also use Rangeforce to assess candidate skills. So if you're recruiting new people for the team, during the interview process, you can actually set up assessments and challenges just to understand the advanced or lack of it nature of the people who are applying for those roles. So making sure that you're avoiding bad hires, that you're making sure that everybody you bring on is suitably equipped to do the role that you want them to do. Rangeforce is great for that, and also doing the same from within the organization as well. So identifying talent within your own four walls and making sure that you're giving users the opportunity to cross-train and upskill themselves into a cybersecurity role. It's often much quicker and, of course, much less expensive to hire somebody from within the organization and move them into the cybersecurity world than it is to hire from the outside, where everything is new, including company policies, company processes, etc. If somebody already understands those and they're set up already, it's a lot easier just to teach them the cybersecurity piece rather than having to bring people in. And then finally, reducing training costs. This is obviously a big one at the moment. Classroom training is very difficult to do at the moment. Travel is obviously limited. And the Rangeforce concept, the browser-based concept, you access everything through the browser, including the cyber range, is a very effective way of getting past that obstacle. It also reduces your costs because compared to a lot of classroom-based training, we are very reasonably priced. Often for the price of one sort of 3 or 4 day course, you can get 12 months of access to the Rangeforce platform. And on top of that, you don't need to travel, you don't need to pay for accommodation. And if you're looking at running cyber range exercises, the cost saving potential is enormous. You don't need to rent or build a cyber range yourself. You don't need to maintain it. You don't need to worry about licensing. You don't need to worry about patching. We do all of that for you, and it's a completely managed service. You turn up on the day, log in through a browser, and everything is managed at the back end for you. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of the Rangeforce solution. Thank you very much indeed for your time today. It's been great to see so many of you logging into the session. You can see my email address there if you would like further details. If you'd like to see the platforms themselves, that can also be arranged, no problem at all. Please just let me know, and we can arrange a demonstration of the platforms. We can arrange a live demo, and you can that normally takes around 20 to 30 minutes, so not a big time investment for you either. But yeah, that's everything. Handing back to Rami now. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and effort. It's really impressive, really. And I have background of more than 18 years in the cybersecurity, but the approach that you have is really it changed the game. And definitely every cybersecurity expert will be interested really to have this certification, training, cyber range, all the activity. And everyone feel free just to reach out to our great speaker, Mr. Rupert, and his contact, and definitely they will be available all the day to answer your questions in the direct messages or in the feed of the conference. And let me see if there is any direct questions here. Okay, and I cannot see direct messages. It is just feeds. Feel free just to put your questions in the Q&A. Yes, Mr. Muad, have one question. Fantastic. Go ahead, please. Okay, the question is from Mr. Muad is what give you the advantage over other vendors like Nopi or Confence?
Yeah, there's a very big difference between what we do. Thank you very much for your question. There's a very big difference between what we do and what Cofence and KnowBe4 do. Cofence, I used to work for Cofence actually in a previous job. Cofence and KnowBe4 focus around phishing and general security awareness. and they do it primarily for the non-technical people within the organization. So they will send out fake phishing emails, and then they will monitor who does what with those emails. They will monitor who opens the emails, who clicks on them, who opens attachments, etc. But it's mostly focused around the non-technical people within the organization. Where Rangeforce is specialized is in the technical side. So making sure that the technical users, your SOC teams, your internal development teams, making sure that they have a separate sandboxed environment where they can learn new skills and train for cybersecurity attack simulations. We do have some security awareness modules, but it's very much it's not a main focus for us. The main focus is about teaching new content to the technical teams, giving them the skills that they need to defend against cyber breach attackers, and a very, very different market to Cofense and KnowBe4. But yeah, hope that answers your question. Do you provide triage and report phishing capability? No, like I said, this is not a phishing solution. This is a technical training solution that is designed to give users a cyber range type experience, but delivered through the browser. So it's not a phishing solution at all. We do not compete with Cofense and KnowBe4 at all.
Amazing. Great. So. Fantastic. Thank you so much. If there is no more questions, I just want to give a couple of seconds. Okay. I already sent the feedback form for everyone. Also, there is a field to put your questions is over there. Feel free just to put your questions, and we will deliver to all of our speakers, inshallah. Thank you, Mr. Rupert. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rami.
Great presentation.
Thank you, everybody.
And the information. Thank you. Have a good day.